I want to talk about higher education matching a business sector that affects workers to its goals. One industry that has continued to grow through this economic disaster and will grow even larger is healthcare. We are about to add 30 million new paying customers to this sector. And so, what will it need? It will need everyone from more home care workers to the young man I met in my 4-month tenure at Harvard who is getting both a medical degree and a degree of a master's in public health. There is no more important place, I think, than the healthcare workplace for the kind of critical thinking skills that are part of a liberal education. That requires problem solving, team building, communication skills, ethical decision making, and cultural awareness. All of the pieces, I think, of a liberal education, and why I said my children were encouraged them. No one can tell their children anything. To go to a liberal education institution. Healthcare is a career that has a clear career ladder. It's one of the few, I think, that you can start out with very little education and work through access and higher education to improve your life as well as the life of the people you serve. A home care worker who currently works for $7 an hour, $8 an hour, $9 an hour, has no health care, can become a certified nursing assistant through a certification process. That certified nursing assistant can become an LPN through a community college, can become a registered nurse, and along the way, their commitment to this sector increases. I don't think of that as narrowing. I think of that as expanding both their opportunities, their lives, which I think is a social good, and their performance with the people they serve. There is evidence, and SEIU has looked into this, as have some others, that if you go through that continuum, you are more likely to stay in the healthcare field, not to your disadvantage but your advantage, than if you are coming out of a nursing school. That's your first entry point, is to graduate from a nursing school, become a nurse, and you may burn out, just as we find teachers burn out for a variety of reasons. Today, there are all sorts of educational institutions that provide the degrees at whatever level or certificates to work in the healthcare industry. Kelly Services, which in my day was known as Kelly Girls, Kelly Services provides certification for phlebotomists in 6 weeks, and you can go get a job. Obviously, there are community colleges, online colleges, four-year colleges that all throughout medical schools that create opportunity for healthcare workers. All this job potential and educational resources, as far as I can tell, and I'm happy to be challenged, adds up to a great mishmash that, to use an academic term, so I would challenge all of us to think about an integrated national system, essentially a national education and employment program created by a consortium of healthcare providers, public, private, nonprofit, higher education at all levels, nonprofits, government, labor, and IT, without which you can't connect all those dots. It would take re-envisioning how providers share information, which they don't like to do, healthcare providers. How government determines where its training money goes. How educational institutions would, I'll let you figure that out, change. And think about revisioning the role labor as a trusted partner that can integrate these pieces, that can recruit students from their workforce and beyond because they are trusted by that workforce. And think about how that would work on a national basis so that we open up a huge educational opportunity, an opportunity this country needs in order to take advantage of what hopefully something in healthcare will wrought of benefit. And it's not impossible to do this. I worked for 8 years for president of the Service Employees International Union, and let me just tell you what that is, because probably a lot of people don't know. It is the largest and fastest growing union in this country. It is a union of over 1 million healthcare workers, the largest union of healthcare workers. It is the second largest union of public sector workers, and it is the largest union of what we call property service workers, those low-wage workers in security and janitors. So if any of you at educational institutions have ever had to go through Justice for Janitors at your university, you know what I'm talking about. SEIU in New York built a relationship with the Greater New York Hospital Association. And they came up with an idea about how to ensure that hospitals across New York had the kind of talent they needed in the areas where they needed it. Employers pay into a health and benefit fund based on, and I don't know what it is now, a couple of pennies an hour, whatever it is for their employees, for a benefit fund that is run by the union, where if Hospital A decides to close down its nuclear medicine department, and Hospital B needs to increase its nuclear medical department, that if they both are in this benefit fund, Hospital B gets first dibs on the workers. So workers are not necessarily losing their jobs, but finding new opportunities. If those workers need to change within the industry to become a different kind of healthcare worker, they can get training within this pool to fill a position in a hospital in New York City that that hospital needs to serve the public. So it is not impossible to do this, but doing it in New York is teaming. So I want today to challenge everybody who's here to think about whether you can bring together higher education and government and workers and providers and IT and do something nationally that is a social good for the worker, a social good for the country, and requires a lot of rethinking about how each of those components interact and work together. Thank you.